Hi, I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. This is the 2022 PSE Carbon Levitate. It's the new carbon bow from PSE. Now, carbon bows are not all the same, so some carbon bows have got an aluminium frame and then they're wrapped in carbon. This is actually a foam frame with carbon in it. Well, that's what I think it is. It weighs 3.6 pounds, so it's physically lighter than your other carbon bows, except for the Bowtech one, which is a bit different. Anyway, PSE have had a carbon bow out for a number of years, and what makes this one a bit unique is they've changed the cam design, so they've got these huge cams on it now. It looks like they've changed these draw stops a little. I'm not quite sure what it is, but they look a little bit different. They've gone slightly wider, the yoke system, which is now standard on the PSEs. The grip feels narrower on this carbon bow than the other carbon bows in the past. Now they've put in little screw holes in the grip here. I'm guessing that's going to be for a bolt-on grip, which is coming, I guess. I haven't been told anything. I'm just like, why else have you got screw holes there? The grip feels different. Now in the past carbon bows, they've only got one arrow hole on the side here. On the past ones, there was problems with fitting the quad ultra rest to it, so I don't know if these ones fit or not. This one comes with a little PSE adapter for fitting an arrow rest on the side there, so that's kind of cool. Comes with a tag strapped down the bottom. They normally sort of strap them somewhere, I don't know, I feel like they're sort of strapped here somewhere. The bow's 32 inches, a 6-inch brace height, 348 feet per second, 27.5 to 31.5 in draw length. The main reason why you'd want this bow is you're looking for a light bow for hunting, for walking around the bush. I think that's the main reason why you'd want it. The other bows offered by PSE are probably going to be a smoother draw than this with the evolved cam system, and they're going to be the metal risers, so a little bit more weight to them. So I'm a big fan on light bows. Now the weight, it feels quite top heavy. So if I put the balance in like that, you can see it drops away a lot to the top of the riser. PSE have also changed the cable guard for this one. In the last one it went to the riser on the back. This one bolts into the side. There's no bolts here bolting the rod in. I assume it's stuck into this metal brace in here. I feel like they've changed this here, where the stop is. It's got a rear bolt here, which I'm assuming you put your rear stabilizer into. So that looks like it's changed a bit. Now PSE said they've changed the carbon on this, so I'd be interested to see how it is and how it's changed. These limbs are meant to be a bit wider, with shims here if you're needing to shim the cams left to right. To change the draw length, A is obviously the longest and I the shortest. So I should be 27.5, 28, 28.5, F is 29. It's got a roller cable slide, which is standard, it's all served. Look, these bows are not cheap. I think Australian dollars, you're probably looking at around $2,600, I'm guessing. Now PSE has got other carbon bows in their lineups. The other ones have the standard evolved cam system. This bow is a 60-pound bow set at 29 inches. I'm shooting a gold tip velocity, which is 400 spine, 90 grain point or 80 grain point, weighs 327 grains. So let's try the draw cycle out. I'm going to guess this is going to be quite aggressive. Now I've got a full throttle, and I'm going to say I love the full throttle. It's very, very fast at 370 feet per second. And this kind of looks very full throttle-ish in the draw cycle. I'm going to say I shoot, as much as I like the full throttle, I don't shoot it that much. I tend to shoot bows that are smoother to draw. It's really different at the start of the draw cycle. So when you're sort of starting here, the bow kind of feels top heavy, and then when you start to draw it, it changes its balance point in your hand. Crikey. I will draw this back. That is aggressive. And I was just shooting the PSE Citation, and I'm like, 60 pound, easy. I must be building it up. Okay. Now each of these PSE limbs are different poundages. So the top left here is a 104, a 108, a 103, and a 105. So your strongest limb is at the top, your weakest limb is at the bottom. That's a bit different to other bows in the past. So where the weakest limb's normally here and the strongest limb's normally there. Oh, it's gonna drop off. Oh, crikeys. Oh, when I get back here, it's like 90% let off. I'm gonna shoot this shot. (318 feet per second). So it builds, and it feels like it gets more than 60, because it sort of hurt my forearm there to draw it. And then when it locks over, this is not a bow you want to let down, because it's just going to build, it's just going to go from holding 5 pounds to, because it's on 90% let off at the moment. It's on 90%, so it's adjustable from 80 to 90. So when I get this back, I'm holding 6. If I go to let it down, it's going to suddenly hit 60 pounds. Where with the Citation that I shot yesterday, which was 60, I couldn't really, it kind of just, the valley's like that big, this feels like it's that big. It's not that big, but it just drops off so rapidly. Now when you shoot this bow, I'm going to shoot a VAP this time. These are 350 grain. 350 grain, they weigh 390. They've got 140 grain point in them. This is quite different than shooting the other PSE bows in the past, like the Stealth and the Max and stuff. It's quite different than shooting the Expedite, which is the speed bow from PSE. It's quite dead in the hand when you shoot it. It's a very different feeling. Oh. .295. When I'm drawing this, you can feel the pressures changing from the upper to the lower part of the bow, if that makes any sense. So the pressure, so what's happening, this is the middle of the string here, and this is your pressure point. So as you're drawing, and you don't normally feel this in a bow, I think it's because it's quite an aggressive draw style, where you're feeling it go from there, and then as it drops off, you feel it sort of going there. So now when I draw this back, and because the drop off is so rapid, my sight moves around a bit. It's very, very quiet. 294. It's very quiet and very little vibration. I would say even less vibration than the aluminium risers. But and I'm going to say the hand grip is much better than the other Stealths, which I found quite wide. This feels lot deader in the hand than the other Stealths I've shot. The other stealth felt some vibration. I'm going to say before with the stealth, you probably felt that the aluminium riser was deader in the hand, where I'm sort of questioning, I think this is deader, I think this is quieter in the hand. But this draw cycle is quite aggressive. Quite aggressive. So how do I think I'm going to shoot with this when I go back to 18? I think I'm going to struggle. Now, I've shot the full throttle before and I've shot it well. The reason I think I'm going to struggle, besides the wind, which is obviously afternoon wind here, 6-inch brace height, so that should create more unstable sight picture. And holding 90%, that should be a little bit more twitchy in the shots for me. So I think I'll struggle. The bow feels nice enough to shoot. I'm just not... This is not the preferred draw cycle I like. I prefer the stealth draw cycle. I prefer the citation. I prefer the SE or the EC cams than this cam. This feels quite hard. So let's go back to 18 and see if my picture changes on that. Okay, I think I've sighted in the bow. I'm a bit nervous. So I like the grip. The grip is better than the other stealths. I'm not liking the draw cycle. I normally pull back aiming it at the goal the entire time. I'm struggling of keeping the pin on the target bar. So if you're aiming up at an animal, instead of aiming at that animal while you're drawing, I think you're gonna be moving around. Now I'm gonna say I've sold a few of these bows. Not that I've taken pre-orders for quite a few of these bows, and they've all been 80-pound bows. So this is a 60. So you're going to want to be fairly solid, fairly strong, and maybe you're going to be able to draw this bow back easier. One thing I've noticed is there's a big movement in bow industry. Years ago when I started off, there was always these speed bows. I always owned speed bows because it was cool to have a fast bow. But in the target bows always had round cams, and the hunting bows always had these big aggressive cams. And there was always a trend for hunters to have these aggressive bows, but now it's been sort of a trend that the target bows are becoming shorter, faster. The hunting bows are becoming more target orientated, so bigger brace heights, smoother draws. So they're really blending into one, and you'll see that across the line with all the bow manufacturers. In fact, the Expedite, I think this is the Expedite is the closest to this bow that I've tried. The sales on that have actually declined. Now the Expedite, if you shoot an Expedite, you probably love it. And I probably love it. And I probably want one. I probably want one of these. I just don't know if I'd shoot it as much as a smoother bow. So if you're comparing do I prefer the NTN 33 or this, I'm going to shoot the NTN 33 pretty much all the time over this because it's just a smoother draw, an easier draw cycle. But this bow's so light, so hence the issue. Because light bows are nice for walking around the bush and walking. If you're going hunting all day and you go carry this thing, it's over a pound lighter. So now I rushed that shot. You didn't know. I don't know where it went. Maybe it went in the middle. Now before, when I was practicing, I did 3 sighting arrows before this, and the last one went into 10. But there was a fair bit of wind, and I was blowing around. I was like a leaf in the wind. I was just blowing around everywhere because this bow is so light. Now compared to the heavy bows, and when you're shooting wind, you normally shoot a heavy bow with lots of weight on it. This bow's got no weight. So you're going to be thrown around in the wind. And if you put lots of stabilizers on, it defeats the purpose of having a carbon bow. So this is part of the... So for me, the ideal carbon bow would be like this. This is fast, so it's good for distances, judging distances. But it's a more aggressive draw cycle. So you've got to be able to shoot this bow. I would shoot it on less let off, so the valley's not so severe. I'd be interested. So this is a high let-off module. I prefer a low let-off module on this bow, so that I'm not dropping into that big valley at the end. So the valley's shorter. That's what I think I would. That's what I would prefer without even looking. It's interesting. So I shot the citation yesterday, and I said the sight pin just sat on the 10. This one now there is a bit more wind around, but I'm fluctuating across the gold. That time it was about 3 o'clock on the 9, I think, when it went off. But it was just floating around. Very dead in the hand. In fact, I feel like it's shooting a lot better than I would expect it to shoot. I really expected to struggle with this. For the shorter brace height, the light weight of the bow, and the wind. And just that whole draw cycle. In all the reviews I do, I always find I shoot better with the bows that are smoother to draw, with bigger brace heights, generally longer axles. Although I shoot pretty good on some of the shorter hunting bows, I seem to be shooting quite well with. So I'm finding that very dead in the hand. Like when I do these reviews, I never know how it's going to turn out. My cable guard can fall off, I can fall apart in my hand. It's I never know how it's going to turn out, whether I'm going to shoot groups all over the place. I really didn't expect to shoot a good group, and I feel like those arrows are going okay. Still, I'm not convinced on the draw. I really want to try this bow with a low let-off module, because I think that would be my thing. Very quiet. It's actually starting to feel pretty easy to shoot. But it's not my favorite draw cycle. It's not my favorite draw cycle at all. I really think the Expedite's easier. I think it's probably a bit easier than the full throttle, but I feel like it's in that kind of par. It's like a full throttle with a carbon riser, with this new evolved system, which you got to say is better than the hybrid cam system, because you can fit the different modules to it to change the feel. You can change the let off. Like, that's all good stuff. When I'm aiming, as I said, I'm holding 6 pounds. I get a bit of that. I get a bit of that while I'm drawing it back, the left to right, and I get a bit of that while I'm aiming. So it'll be interesting to see what the group's like. Let's shoot one more. But I shot the citation yesterday with the SE cams. I'm like just loving it. I love the whole process. I love the whole draw. 60-pound bow. It just feels nice and comfortable to me. This just feels like hard work to me, drawing it back. When I get back there and I'm in that valley, I feel like I'm holding nothing, and it's a bit scary. It is impressive though. I mean, what is this? Like, you produce this super light bow, it's fast, it's very quiet, and it's aggressive to draw, because you need that for the speed, right? It's just like, it's so far different than every other bow on the market today. It's just, and to top it off, you make this bow at 80 pounds, like, it's massive weight. It's just crazy. So a while ago, another story, PSE sponsored an archer, one of the top female archers in Australia, and she's a target archer. She had shoulder problems, so she chose the stealth bow, which is the predecessor of this, a few years old now. I'm guessing it's about 4 years ago. And so target archer used a big brace height, soft drawing bow, and she chooses this bow. It's the most expensive bow in the PSE lineup. And she was having target panic at the time. And it's quite a quick bow, but it's like, this bow would shoot good, but I can't imagine I'm going to shoot this bow as well as a target bow. I just can't see it being as forgiving to shoot as a target bow with the bigger brace height. Anyway, cut the story short. She had some medium success with the carbon bow for target archery. But eventually she went back to Hoyt, her original bow, which was heavy, and I'm pretty sure that her shoulders kind of just didn't work out for her, because then I think she stopped shooting about the year after that. But it just wasn't the right bow for her to choose. I understand why you wanted the carbon bow, because it's nice and light, but the shorter brace height just makes it harder to shoot. Let's go and have a look at the group down the other end. So, that's a pretty decent group at 80 metres. Jesus. So I brought them to 2 Nocks. So there's 2 Nocks shot off. I just don't get it. I was like, I'm going to struggle hitting the target with this bow. The draw's not nice. Look, it's windy, and when I was sewing this bow in, like, my side pin went off the target. Like, it went from there to there in the wind. It was all over the place. I'm like, I'm stuffed. PSE's gonna hate me. I'm like, oh well, we'll just do the review, because, you know, I've done some bad reviews in the past. And look at that. I don't know. It's like, I'd shoot better than that than the citation. I don't know. So I shoot better with the Levitate than the target bow. I don't know. Look, I'm going to say with the citation I shot yesterday, I really enjoyed the way it shot. It just punched the arrows out. I really liked the EM cam on the citation. It was hard work, and I shot it really well in the reviews. But with the target competition, it fatigued my muscles over time. And I'm pretty sure the Levitate would fatigue my muscles over time. But boy, geez, that's a great group. 18 metres, no peep, not tuned. Smacked this arrow rest on it. Put a dead loop on. Bolted aside, I literally had 3 arrows sighted. That was it. And that was like good. I think I shot there, and then there. It was good. That's the Levitate. So I would choose the Levitate over the normal stealth bow because of the grip. The grip's narrower and I like the grip better. I like the weight of the Levitate. I'm not a fan of the drawer, but I would like to experiment with low let-off modules to try and get it not in so much of a big valley, which still scares me. I think I might get used to it, but I don't know. And the fact that I never shot my full throttle much kind of makes me worry, but the full throttle was a lot heavier bow. So maybe I would use this bow for field archery, but if you're a hunter and you've got to carry this bow around the bush, the carbon's not going to get hot in your hand, it's not going to get cold. It's a real carbon bow, not a fake carbon bow, so it's nice and light. Its vibration is excellent. So PSE have really stepped it up. So very interesting bow and not what I expected at all. That's the PSE Levitate. Thanks for watching. Bye.